This is a quick update on my Bugs 3 photographic fleet. I primarily use these days for high definition video work, but using modern cameras. So it's a bit about the mounting of the cameras, what I'm doing with batteries and wiring to make things more reliable. So I've temporarily retired my Scarab, which is the Bugs 6 frame with the Bugs 3 bits inside. I've got a fault. I think it's a bad ESC. I've also got vibration on the main camera, so I've decided to put this away for a little bit and I'll come back to it. This was a proof of concept, and the way I've done it, and that's a made up cover, the way I've done it inside it works, but it's all a bit messy. I can do a neater version now I know the idea of the thing's sound. So I'll come back and I'll trace the wires, determine whether it's an ESC or a motor or what's going on. But meanwhile I want to get the vibration out of the Bugs 3. So that's my focus at the moment. So this is the setup with the Foxeer. I've used a harder foam, the kind of foam that comes with this. The MIDI transmitter that I've been using. This foam is quite a bit harder because what's happened, I'll just hop across this one. What happened with the smaller camera, which is a Cadxx, is that this foam was too soft and it just sort of broke up. So I've reinstated the camera. I've done it a different way with a little tiny Cadxx. Hopefully this is in focus. I've got a block of foam underneath it there. I've got a soft foam behind it, so if it had a crash it can be pushed forward, and I've got a little bar on top holding it all together. So, in the case of the larger Foxeer camera, again I've used a harder foam, and this has got a bigger lens on it, which is why it's my preferred. They're both 2.1 theoretically, but it's got a much larger lens. And I've mounted this a slightly different way. I've still got the foam behind it, but I've got a whole plate screwed on holding the thing down. So in terms of the lens size, if you look at the two stacked like this, you get an idea of the difference. So I've been using these props, these crystal ones, 7-inch, largest props I've ever used in Bugs 3, and it flies beautifully and very fast, so it's good for long range, height out towards the 600 metre mark. I'm starting to get vibrate or jello, and I'm not sure whether it's the camera mounting or the props. The props I've used before that have been very reliable have been these green bullnose props. And I started off with bullnose 2-bladed props, and they were very good. The 3-bladed bullnose, even better. They're stable, but they've got better grab on the ear, so I can turn better, more control. Probably a little less battery life, but as I've probably said before, I don't care about that much. I tend to fly about 5 minutes, knowing that my batteries normally do about somewhere between 8 and 11, but I don't want to push it when I'm going out over water. When it comes to batteries, I've pretty well moved to punchier ones. The top one, slightly older, has got a it's 30C discharge rate, but up to 60 for burst rate. And then I've got for these other ones, which are now a reasonable price here, which is even more so. It's 35 up to 70 burst rate. The thing is, they've both got XT60s, which is now my preferred connector. This one I've converted across from a T connector. This other one has still got the T connector on it, the same brand battery. So they came with the T connectors or the Dean's plug. So this first one I just made an adapter so I could run it with an XT60 on the Bugs. But now I'm going to chop this off and put a native XT60 connector on it to bring it up to the same standard as the other one. On the Bugs, This is an older one which has still got the T-connector on it, and what you may notice is that I've got thinner wire. I'm using solid copper, well, copper speaker wire, braided, and it's just one thickness of it. On this one that I've been flying more regularly, I've doubled it up. I'm using twice the wire now. The XT30 connector won't sit down properly inside anymore, but that doesn't worry me because I don't use it anymore, purely running on XT60 connector. So subtle changes, but hopefully improves the whole reliability and performance. So to test the where the vibration's coming from, I'm putting the 7-inch crystal props onto the other drone that I've just set up, the other Bugs 3. So that should give me a good idea as to whether it's the props or something else. So on the existing one, I'm going back to my favourite green triblades just to see what they're like. So this is where it's handy having a few drones of the same model, so you can mix and match and see what works and what doesn't. This seemed like a good way to do it, but as soon as I flew it, it just sort of popped out like a pep and hung like that. So that made me realise the huge advantage of the other one is it's properly secured. Foxeer Razer here isn't going anywhere. That bracket holds it, so fairly obvious mistake, but I thought I'd demonstrate why you need to flight test stuff. So the bracket I made for the Foxeer Razer doesn't quite suit the Cadxx Ratel, but I'll use that as a model to cut out something that's a better fit. Here's what I've come up with. So you can push it back a bit. It's got a bit of give in it, but it can't come out the front anymore. So, based on the how things went with the Foxeer Razer, that should do the job. But again, I'll only believe that once I've flown it successfully.